Hi class. Okay, so let's finish on. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to post those journal entries to T accounts. As you know, we use a T account in place of a ledger for that account. If we had a ledger, it would have 3 columns. A column for a debit, a column for a credit, and a column for the running balance, just like you do when you keep your checkbook. But we're using T accounts so we can get them all on one page, and then we can use that page and build our trial balance. Okay, so I'm just going to repost real quick. Okay, so A was a debit to cash and a credit to common stock. A debit to cash of $100,750 and a credit to common stock of $100,750. B was a debit to office supplies for $1,250, and the credit was to cash. C was a debit to office equipment for $10,050 and a credit to accounts payable. So let's set up accounts payable. D was a debit to cash for $15,500, and it was a credit to revenue. And put revenue down here. We'll try to keep revenue and expenses down here on the bottom. Okay, E was a debit to accounts payable because we paid off the accounts payable, and a credit to cash. F was a debit to accounts receivable. Aha, we need accounts receivable added to our list of accounts. $2,700, and that again was revenue. G is a debit to rent expense for $1,225, and we paid it in cash. Okay, H was a debit to cash for $1,125, where our customer made a partial payment, so the credit was to accounts receivable. And I was a debit to dividends, where we paid our stockholder dividends, and we paid it, so that came out in cash. Okay, hopefully we've done all the debits and the credits. Let's go through and get our final balances. So these 3 debits minus these 4 credits should be a balance of $94,850. Office supplies, that one's easy, $1,250. Office equipment, that one's easy, $10,050. Common stock, $100,750. Dividends, $10,000. Accounts receivable, $2,700 minus what they paid us leaves them owing us $1,575. Accounts payable, we zeroed that out. Revenue, $15,500 plus $2,700 is $18,200, and rent expense is $1,225. Okay, so from these balances on the T accounts, we're going to make a trial balance. So I've got an account, and I've got a debit column and a credit column. Okay, so I'm going to start this from assets through liabilities, through equity, through revenue, through expense, just like we would like them to be to make financial statements. So I'm going to start with cash. Obviously, cash is the most liquid thing we have, and it's always at the top of our financial statement, right? Then I'm going to go with accounts receivable. Now, I would not count it wrong on you if you didn't exactly have this order, but I'm just telling you it's preferable to start with your assets, move through liabilities. So next, let's do office supplies, $12.50. Next, let's see. Then I think office equipment. I think office equipment is our last asset. I don't see any more assets. So we'll move on to accounts payable, which is our only liability. It has a 0 balance. Let's move on to common stock. We issued that $100,750. Dividends is the other. Remember, dividends is a contra equity account, so it's got a debit balance. Now let's go to revenue. And rent expense. If we posted both a debit and a credit every time, if I add up the debits, I should come up to, let's see, what is that check figure? I should come up to $118,950. And if I add up the credits, I should come up to $118,950. Now that doesn't promise. Just because you balance doesn't mean that you for sure debited and credited the right accounts, but at least it means you posted every entry. Okay, thanks.